You're on mute, Joe. Joey.
Hello, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new episode of Cubs on Tap. I am Joey Ricotta, at Joey Knows Nothing, joined by the one and only Nick, at Nick underscore on tap. We are without the rest of the gang tonight, but we have a nice little two-man show for you. I think we did the last Sunday too, right, Nick? Was it last Sunday or I'm probably off on my days here, but yeah, we're back to discuss some miserable times here in Cubs land. How are you doing? First of all, before we get started,
Doing well, man. I mean, I enjoyed the beautiful weather. I hope everyone else got a chance to enjoy the beautiful weather, but I'm ready for the Cubs to go home. This was a miserable road trip. My shirt actually says there's no place like Wrigley. I'm hoping that going home changes this shit around because it's really hard to stomach, and some of these games are just horrible to watch.
it's funny because I saw someone in the grocery store today. After the game, we went to the grocery store, and I saw someone. I think it was with that same exact shirt, or it could be I'd rather be at Wrigley, one of those two.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I'd rather be at Wrigley.
and I feel like she was just speaking our language as she was walking through the store. I'm like, yeah, you know, I would rather be at Wrigley, and I think the Cubs definitely do feel that way coming off now a 2-7 road trip after they just dropped 2 of 3 to the Phillies and lost this series finale. We're going to get into it, talk about all the Cubs' problems, or some of them, anyways. They got a lot of problems, but we'll talk about some of the key ones that me and you discussed off air. But before we do that, I want to remind everybody to go to ontapsportsnet.com to check out all your Chicago sports needs. We have Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, obviously the Cubs, as we are sitting here talking Cubs. Bets, White Sox. Yeah, you're right. I put bets before White Sox. But the White Sox guys do a great job over there. And the White Sox are heating up right now. So maybe that's why it stings even more here because we're starting to see some more positivity on the South side. And I don't know. I don't necessarily love that. And golf, obviously, golf on tap. Me and Jack just hitting outright. That's what made this Sunday okay for me, Nick. We hit an outright with Brooks Koepka winning the PGA Championship, so that was awesome. But yeah, back to the Cubs here. It's a little brutal, man. Swept up by the Astros after the miserable fashion they lost that last game where they had a lead. I think it was a 6-1 lead going into the 8th inning. You guys had a show after that one. 2 runs in the 8th against Mark Leiter Jr. and then Keegan Thompson in the 9th, 4 runs, and they get walked off there. Then they have an off day, and you're thinking, okay, let's just bounce back, right? Let's go into Philly. Let's take care of business here against the Phillies. Go see our old friend Kyle Schwarber. Friday night, Nico returns. You've got the DFA of Eric Hosmer. They call up Edwin Rios. They also call up Mike Tauchman. They send Keegan Thompson to AAA. And then there's another move in there that I think I'm missing. Cody Bellinger sent to the IL. So this is kind of, I don't know if that was all on Friday. I think that might have all been on Friday. But nonetheless, Hoerner returning after the brief IL stint. He gave the Cubs a little boost, right? That Friday game. Multi-hit game. Cubs win it 10-1, 4 RBI night for Nico Hoerner. Game 2, yikes, 12-3. 12-3 Phillies. Jameson Taillon couldn't get out of the 3rd inning. The big blow was the grand slam by our old friend and Cubs legend, Kyle Schwarber, with the grand slam there. And then JMO, I don't know. We'll talk about him too, but it doesn't really look like the 4 years and $68 million contract is looking like a good deal right now.
Yeah, that's a scary deal right now.
Very scary. Phillies winning today, 2-1. Steele was screwed. 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 1 walk, 6 Ks. He was back to dominant Justin Steele. Alzolay, the 2-run bomb allowed to Bryson Stott, who wasn't even in my lineup my fantasy lineup because he wasn't in the lineup. And he was pinch hitting. And, yeah, I was going to say, guess who sat him? Frustrating stuff, nonetheless. Where do you want to start, Nick? Where do you want to start?
It's all bad. Coming into Philadelphia, they did exactly what I requested of them, to come in and just wipe the floor, because you have to come out with a good showing after that piss poor ending to the series. You get swept by. I mean, that was awful. But then the wheels fell off yesterday. They totally fell off. What I want to start with, I am tired of our starters getting screwed because they put together a lot of quality starts and they get absolutely nothing in return. And it's just so frustrating because it's a bad division, all this stuff, but more or less it's bad for a pitcher's confidence. Eventually they start to be like, come on.
Yeah, Stroman bounced back, right? He bounced back Friday. Quality start, only 1 run allowed in 6 innings. And then Steele again today, and you get nothing out of it today. And I know, man, I'm right there. It's like the bullpen. That's what's so frustrating about this team. Not to go down a rabbit hole here, because I want to stay on topic with what you're saying, but it's always somebody. And like the saying is, like, it's always something. It's always something. And that's always like the negative person, right, that walks around. It's always something. Oh, it's got to be something. But it feels that way. There's always something different that happens with this team to allow them to screw up the game. The close wins are just non-existent at this point. You cannot win a close game with this team.
No.
And I'm like, that's how we kind of pictured it before the season was the way this team is going to be a winning team was you're going to have to win these close games. And it's just not happening. And it's a lot of it is bullpen issues, blowing it, and it's somebody new every night. Mark Leiter Jr., you guys talked about it last time with the Astros game. It's been so great all season. Rough outing. Some of that was bad luck, with the bouncer of Abreu. Alzolay, who would have predicted a bomb there? He's been great against lefties. That's something he figured out this season. Bryson Stott.
That's not a bad move. It's really not.
I mean, you can't even put it on Ross at that point. Like, I just – that's a guy that you're – and then Keegan getting sent down to AAA now to figure some stuff out. That's a guy going into the season you were looking at as one to hold down the fort. That was one of your main staples in the bullpen that you were looking at as like, okay, when he's in the game, 2-3 innings, no problem, shut her down. Like, maybe not in the 9th inning, but wherever he comes in the game, and that just has not been the case lately. So what do you see out of the bullpen, which is really magnifying, I think, some of the even pitching issues when the starting pitching, for the most part, like you said, really fucking good, man.
Yeah. And like you said, it's always something. And I feel like it's always something lies a lot with the bullpen. There's a lot of times when they come out and they're not competitive. They're just not competitive. They're not attacking the strike zone. Even with a lead, like a 3-run lead, they don't attack the strike zone. And if you put guys on first batter walks, they're going to come around. It's just the nature of this game now. And it's not looking good. Thompson was a guy I thought was going to be your setup and be your definite setup guy. I could see him closing early on, but like you said, he fell apart. And for him to have, been sent down, that's a big deal.
It's a huge deal because it feels like this wasn't just a rough stretch now. Like the Cubs saw something, right? And the underlying numbers have not been great for Keegan pretty much all season. I mean, that's no secret. People have been talking about that. It's been mentioned many times, especially on Twitter. But he was somehow finding a way to succeed through that. And even like early in spring training, or for the most part throughout the spring training, velo's down early in the season, velo, like what's going on here with Keegan? Now, is it like more of a release point and a fundamentals thing? Like, that's kind of what I'm wondering, because the velo, I'm pretty sure that got back up. So what is the real issue with him missing locations and getting rocked lately? That's trying to figure this out. And I don't know, man. I hope he figures it out. and can come back here and be the Keegan Thompson that we've seen and loved, that bulldog type of mentality out of the bullpen. And it just kind of pins and needles right now until he gets back, you know?
Yeah, and you need that arm. You really do. This bullpen cannot afford to lose arms like that. And like you said, hopefully they just figure something out. If they saw something, hopefully they correct it. He comes back and he's dominant again because you need him. You need his arm. You need kind of everyone. It's like all hands on deck. It's getting to that point.
Yeah, that's the truth, man. Speaking of, like, we talked about starting pitching being really pretty good here for the most part. A guy who has not been, and it's really been all season, and he just came back from, the left groin issue. He's had 4 starts now since then. Jameson Taillon, J-Mo. He, like we said, couldn't get out of that 3rd inning on Saturday. I mean, I don't know. I think this is something that Juice, Ron, and you guys have talked about. Him maybe being still hurt. Luckily, Kyle Hendricks looks like he's pretty much ready to go. I think he had a 6-inning outing recently at AAA.
He looked good in that last outing.
And I'm wondering, like, they say he's okay. The Cubs continually keep saying J-Mo physically is fine. His velocity is still up there around career norms. But what is it? What is the deal? Because the walks now, he's now walking guys. And that's something last season in particular, like, he wasn't walking guys.
No.
I mean, he's been like a really good command or control type of pitcher. And I don't know what is going on with him, but whatever it is, if they're trying to make too many changes to become more strikeout heavy, because the strikeout stuff seems still pretty good, but then he's not putting away guys. So
exactly, he's going deep into counts, which I don't know about you. I would rather not have that. I would rather them be able to go longer in the game.
I agree. Like Justin Steele, we've seen it many times with him and Stroman. Take the strikeout pitch a little bit down a notch, just pitch a little bit more to contact, and they're consistently going 6-7 innings.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point.
Like, it's frustrating, man. I hope they figure it out with him. I mean, like, I would be a little bit more concerned if the groin was on the right, because I feel like that push-off leg, and you get so much power and drive in your legs, but the push-off leg to me would be it. But you're still stretching that left groin every time you're landing and kicking. And I don't know. I don't know if he's still having some type of feel there and he's just not being honest about it. But
it could be. He does not look to me like he's at 100% at all. I mean, his velocities are and everything, but he's missing. I mean, and he's missing, like you said, way more than last year at a pace that's far above last year. And you have to ask yourself what's going on there. So he's one bad start away from bad things for him.
One bad start away from another IL stint.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's what's.
Or who knows?
Who knows? I mean, yeah.
They're not going to get rid of him because 4 years, $68 million. This is you ride it out and you got to fix it. You have to fix it.
Yeah. There's no other option. You can't do anything else.
Yeah. I want to pull this up before we continue on here, though. We're going to get to Morel, Brittany Madison here in the comments. At least Morel is showing up. We are going to get to Morel. That's one of the main positives that we can pull. But there's a lot of bullshit we need to get through before we get there.
Yeah. Right.
And then Nick Kirby here, my buddy, friend of the program, been on this show. It's a lot easier to say this from an outside perspective, but that plus 21 run differential should make you feel pretty good about the Cubs' future. I think 1-run losses are just as much luck as skill. And I agree with that. I think some of it is coaching in a sense. There have been some moments where it's like, okay, this is just the wrong decision. And then other parts, it's like, all right, this is an experience. This is part luck, like he's saying. And you can't really pinpoint. I know this road trip, though, run differential wise, I thought I saw minus 27. I could be wrong about that, but minus 27 on the road trip run differential is not good. So that kind of speaks, because their run differential for the most part this season has been really good, but the last 3 weeks, month, not so good. So, yeah, I don't know, Nick. What are your thoughts on what Nick's saying here, though?
Yeah, I mean, they could definitely be having a lot of bad luck. I mean, it's very possible. They're a good-looking team at many times. Like you said, we talked off air, they put it together sometimes. And they are a lot of guys with individual talents, but when they put it together, they look really good and fluid. And it's just unfortunate and frustrating, like you said, because you're getting this here, but you're not getting that there. And then
Yeah.
you're able to win in this part of the game, but then you lose it in that part of the game, or you get a really bad start of the gate and you just don't recover. And that's like what it feels like. And the one-run games are such killers for morale and momentum. It's like eventually it starts to weigh on guys. And I would definitely bet that Astros last game really took a lot of their steam out of the rest of the road trip. It looked like it. They looked horrible yesterday. And today, not much better. I mean, the pitching was really good, but the offense just 3 hits. It's just non-existent.
You can't win games like that. Like, I don't care if it's the bullpen blew it. I mean, you scored 1 run today, and it was because, like Brittany said, Christopher Morel hits another home run. His 4th straight game with a home run. I guess, yeah, let's get into the positives, right? Like, because we'll get to more negative here in a second. Of course, Hosmer DFA'd Friday. That's also could be considered a positive.
Yeah, I would say that's a positive.
So, but no, man, Morel, 4th homer in as many games for him, 4 straight contests. But then he's up to 8 now in his first 11 games. What the fuck, dude? First Cubs player in history since 1901, or dating back to 1901 anyways, with 8 bombs in his first 11 games. And then you go ahead, keep putting him. If you're a sports book, go ahead and keep putting him near plus 600 odds to hit a home run. He dares you to.
Yeah, literally.
Like, how awesome has it been to watch Morel?
Dude, he must be seeing a beach ball up there because he is barreling everything. And the best part is he is waiting for his pitch and just absolutely unloading on it. He looks very good in these plate appearances, and he's a breath of fresh air for this team. It's just unfortunate they're not taking advantage of it, but man, it's a bright spot because he was such a fun story before that you just wanted it to continue, and for him to be back and performing at this level, and I hope it continues, it's fantastic.
No doubt, dude. I mean, it definitely had something to prove, he felt like. He really took this and like it was a chip on his shoulder this season. It's like, how dare you put me back down in the minors after that on-base streak I started my career with, or whatever it was. I mean, the guy is electric. Yeah, you might not have a position for him, but, we were talking about it. Just DH him then.
Just DH him. Yep.
Who cares? I mean, that's a hole. That's a hole. A bat, no matter where it is a hole. And right now with Bellinger on the IL, you can get a chance to see him play a little bit more center too, which he has been. Friday, Saturday, he was in center a little bit. But yeah, I mean, there's not much more to say about Morel right now. It's a fun show. Like,
yeah, it's fun. Yeah, it's fun where there's no fun.
It's fun. Yeah, even in the blowout games. Like, it's like, okay, you're kind of making the blowouts somewhat tolerable. They're not tolerable, but they're somewhat tolerable because you can, at least you're tuning in to, is he going to do it again? Like, and he's been doing it, man. So all credit to him. Another guy too here who's kind of heating up, at least on the road trip, Seiya Suzuki. He's got 4 bombs, or he hit 4. Very nice slash line as well on the 9-game road trip. So good to see Seiya kind of pick up now as far as, maybe he's feeling healthy again.
Yeah. And we discussed that before. It looks like this is full strength Seiya. And the great part about it is the power is back. And that's what you needed. You were requiring almost, because we talked about it early on. The Cubs were not built as a power team. You needed someone to take that role, and we thought it would be Seiya Suzuki. And I still think it's Seiya Suzuki, especially at seeing him lately. Now, what makes him especially dangerous is his eye. he's got a really good eye at the plate, and he gets screwed over by a lot of umpires, which pisses me off. But he's got a great eye, so when he gets his pitch, he just really drives it, and I mean he's looking really good.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's been kind of like some of the issues I feel like I've seen, or I've thought, when we were talking in the past, is maybe that's why he's even expanded a little bit this season before this like recent stretch, was because he gets screwed on so many calls. And like even today, I think he had 2 or 3 strikeouts today. Like he's still striking out, but the power coming back on, and he will take walks too. It's not like he doesn't walk at all. He will definitely take walks. His on base is, right up there with the best, certainly on the Cubs. So, but the power stroke is something you absolutely need from this guy, because a 4 or 5 spot, hitting wise in that lineup, it's a big emptiness if you're not getting some sort of power. And without Bellinger, who was kind of providing that, I mean, he kind of slowed down a little bit here recently before the IL stint, but you need that outside of Christopher Morel. Where is it coming from right now? And it's good to see him kind of pick it up. Maybe he returns home and continues it, hopefully.
Yeah, I really hope he does.
And on that note too, one guy who will not be continuing his struggles anyways, like we said, Eric Hosmer getting the DFA. Rios and Tauchman are back. Thoughts on those two? Like, is there a long-term thing here, or is this just kind of like placeholder right now?
I think it's definitely maybe a placeholder for right now, or just to see them up here, get some at bats, see how they look. The Eric Hosmer thing made me so freaking happy. I was like, thank God, man, because he was just a momentum killer, just an inning rally killer. Any of them, he was a ground ball machine. But those double plays were there were a couple games that were 1-run games that probably would have been won if you had a different guy in that spot, because any type of production other than what he was providing would have been great. So that was a move that had to be done. But for right now, I think it's a placeholder. I think you can keep him up for a little bit while Belly's, obviously on the IL right now. So you can keep him up, but I think they're eventually going to go, especially Tauchman. I mean, maybe Rio stays up for a while, but I think Tauchman will go back down.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there, or definitely one of those two anyways. Did they call up another arm today? I might have missed that because I thought they were going a little light on the arms with Keegan's option, but I don't know. I don't remember if they called anybody up or not. We should probably have checked that before hopping down here, but random thoughts. We like to improv a little bit.
Yes.
Negatives, man. Negatives. We've already talked about them. 2-7 on the road trip. 6 games under 500 now. You're 5 games back in the division. You're tied with the Cardinals now, who are kind of surging at the moment. As sad and as disgusting and as awful as that makes us feel.
It's horrible.
Obviously, Bellinger, the IL stint, left knee contusion after robbing Kyle Tucker of extra bases. So this is retroactive to, I think it was May 16th. That game, the leaping catch up against the wall in Houston, very critical moment too. I mean, that was an incredible play. Yeah. Definitely put his body on the line though to do it. Yeah, I mean, and then the Keegan Thompson recent struggles. Those are kind of the main like negatives that I outlined. Even though there's a lot that you can pick and choose from. Nick, what are some of yours, or do you want to talk about some of these?
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many different negatives. I think that's the problem, but the worst part about it is the negatives aren't consistent. That's for me at least, is like I was saying, you'll get great offense here, but then you'll get a really shitty pitching performance, or you'll get little to no offense and stellar pitching. And it's like, we can't put it together. That's the biggest negative for me right now, is that they're not putting it together on both sides of the baseball. It's like, I want to see a complete game from them. And they look really good when they're acting like a team, but the Thompson thing is bigger than I think we feel right now. I think that's a big arm losing that, especially he wasn't doing great, but we were talking about coming into the season. That's a guy, like you said, could be a staple and should be a staple throughout the whole year. And I thought throughout the season that he was going to stick around, but that's definitely a big negative for me. But the biggest one is that they're not putting it together, man. That's so frustrating as a baseball fan when you get one here, but you don't get the other there. It's like, oh, come on, just put it together, just halfway.
I mean, that's really all it would take right now, right? Like, even Matt Mervis, I mean, I know he's had some struggles here figuring out the big league level, but I kind of like the fact that now, if you're going to go on these long losing streaks, right? Fuck it. See what you have now. Now, they DFA'd Hosmer even throughout some of those struggles with Mervis. They weren't quick to pull the trigger on him and send him back to AAA, which I like.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things that kind of sticks out to me is, yeah, it's always something different, reasons why they're losing the games. But you're going to go through this developmental phase. If you're going to do it, just do it then. Like Nick was saying, Nick Kirby in the chat. And, it's a bright future. So, like, that still has to make you feel good about it. And it still does. It's just very painful in the moment. But
yeah, especially with a division like this, for me at least. I know you're not supposed to be standing watching this early, but like it's not as early as people think.
It's not. It's not.
A crappy division though, man. It's like it really is. It's a crappy division overall in baseball. And it's like we should be taking advantage of it, especially during this time that the Cardinals were really struggling for a while. And now, like you said, it makes me gag when I think about it, but they're starting to do a little bit better. And hopefully they fall off again, but it's wasted opportunities. That's what it should all boil down to, is just all these wasted opportunities. And there's been games where like they've left a lot of runners in scoring position, and that's an infuriating thing. That's a huge negative because you can't win games leaving guys on base like that. And they are a team that they can move, they can play small ball, they can do these things. And like we talked about early on when we were excited when they were doing well. This is the brand of baseball they were built to play, and look how good they're looking. And it's like they've just left that completely is how I feel. But I mean, the future is bright, as Nick mentioned, and things can turn around very quickly, especially in a division like this. So you could look at it as both a glass half full, glass half empty type of deal. But for right now, I'm pretty upset with the way things are going, and a lot of Cubs fans are, and rightfully so. I mean, they should be.
We live this. That's why. It's because we live this every day, every night. We're sitting here and we want them to win. It doesn't matter how we feel about the future. The future is now.
Yeah, we want to win.
Next starts here. Next starts now, to me, in my eyes. But I mean, it's funny here when you were talking though, Nick. Like, have you ever seen A Bronx Tale, the movie?
I don't think I have.
Oh my God, you need to watch it. It's incredible.
I gotta watch it. Yeah.
It's one of the best movies. But I was just thinking, you were talking about wasted opportunities. And I was thinking about, nothing. There's some type of quote in the movie that says, nothing's worse, or it's something along the lines of like, nothing is worse than wasted potential. And it's like a hard hitting type of quote that kind of sticks with you. And of course it doesn't stick all the way with me, but that's just because we've, fish brain memory over here. But I do think, though, that's kind of what we're seeing. It's wasted potential and wasted opportunities could go along the lines of that. And like you said, glass half full, glass half empty, as I just burped straight into my mic. Still a lot of potential, and it's not necessarily wasted potential for the future outlook. But this team easily could be a 500 team or something. Like 500, fine. There's like 3 or 4 of those games that's like, dude, come on. And you're still only 5 games back of the division because the division is not that good. It's just not.
It's not. It's not. And like you said, it's now. Now is the time to make the move. And that's why I like how you mentioned the Mervis thing. That is pretty much a gold star from move standpoint, is I think that was smart to pull the trigger on Hosmer, keep Mervis. Is he struggling? Yes, but look at when he hits the ball. He hits the shit out of the ball. And you need guys like that. Eric Hosmer, his exit velocity, his average, was just not there. And it was a good move to keep a struggling Matt Mervis up, because these are things that will help a young player, is to tell him, oh, we're not totally like, we have confidence in you to keep you up here. And that shows a lot to them. So hopefully he takes that. And it's tough when you're first coming up. You guys adjust, and the league is so fast now. So he's gotta adjust, and I think he will adjust.
Oh, I think so too. I mean, we're still real confident in him, or like have high hopes for him.
Oh
Not
yeah.
to you don't write a guy off in his first, however many games it's been. It's not many, and he's not getting like so far like the consistent every day, all the time playing time. I mean, it's more now. Of course, it's going to be more too without Hosmer, but that eats into it a little bit too. I'd just like to see it just every day, no matter what. And I think moving forward, we probably will see that. Just run them out there. No, good, bad, ugly. Don't care. Like run them out there. And I think it's just crazy though. Like watching some of these guys. I was at the Friday and the Saturday game, watching South Bend in Beloit. First time going to that stadium with my dad this weekend. And it was awesome. Great stadium. Like they really put together something special there. Nice little scenery over there in Beloit. But, watching some of these guys, I was texting Juice during one of the games, and I'm like, Alcantara, and that's another guy. Like some of these guys, Alcantara, Triantos, Franklin, Pinago, I guess you could say too. Made, like some of these guys are, and I know it's a little further along, but they really are building something throughout this pipeline where, not all these guys are going to be at great. They're just not. But, Alcantara, there's certain guys that you see. I texted you, so I was like, he does some things on the field that could be taken as cocky. And he's like, yeah, he's cocky as hell. They just, but you could tell that's a guy that like thinks he's going to be there, or he's playing almost like with that swag of like he's supposed to be there already or something. And yeah, I kind of like that, to be honest. A guy that's on my team or on my favorite team that plays like that. And I think with Morel, for instance, yes, he's very respectful to, umpires and to the opposing team and all that. But he plays with that kind of flair, and just if you had some more guys like that, PCA kind of comes to mind as he's doing like the windmill when he gets a triple or something at third base, and he's just doing the thing that people will meme the shit out of and put like a W. They like draw it out between his arms.
Yeah.
But like we need more of that,
Yeah.
You need some more of that. And we have guys that really care about the game, love the game, they play super hard. But you need a little bit of that. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to be flashy about it, and I don't give a fuck what happens,
Yeah.
We do.
Yeah, where's the bat flips? Yeah, you're right. We need more of those moments that are like big time moments. And Nelly V provided that early on. That was freaking awesome. But since then, it's just, yeah.
I'm swimming right now, baby.
I love it.
I know that was a
Since
terrible.
then,
I don't know.
I feel like we've gone down on a slope. It's just been bad. It's just felt bad. And that's a great point. We need more of that. But Christopher Morel provides a lot of that. But other guys need to hop on board now.
Yeah, man. Why not? Like, some of those guys just will never be that, right? Like Nico's not going to be that type of dude. He's going to go out there, grind it out. He'll do a little thing when he gets to second base, whatever it is that,
Yeah.
You flipping the switch, turning the, I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, they're doing something. Yeah.
But he's a grinder. He's very focused. He's locked in. And I'm cool with that too. I don't care how you do it. Just get the job done. But there might be a reason why him and Seiya Suzuki are connecting so well. But they're also talking like in game about, little adjustments that they're making and, through the translator, whatever, about what a guy's throwing. I'm all for that kind of conversations too. Like you should be locked in that way and locked into the game.
Yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. And brings up the fact of it's not like they're a really bad team and they're not trying and they have flashes of like the lower teams. They're not like that. They are trying. They are good players. They do like the game. And that's what's even more frustrating even for them because they should deserve to win some of these close run games. It's like and it starts to weigh on players and a team especially. And if you start to doubt yourselves, it can travel. It's definitely a contagious thing, and but so is morale. And I think that it's not going to get any easier this week, but you got to look for something like you said to hold on to a moment or a big inning, something to turn the tides because they're not this bad of a team like you said. And I don't want to believe it either. I'm not ready to believe that they're this bad of a team. I had a big win prediction, if you remember that.
Yeah, you did.
I went big. And, they look like a team at certain points that could deliver that. That's what's so frustrating. At times they look great. So it's just they're gonna give me heart problems. I think I told you that earlier. They literally are. I'm frustrated. I'm super frustrated, man.
I don't mean to smile at that, the heart problems thing, because it's very serious, Nick. But I'm with you. I'm with you. Like this team, it makes you sick. Like I already have enough heartburn issues because of drinking beer, because of all the pasta and the pizza sauce and the sugo, and like I have issues that way because of that stuff. I don't need it because of the Cubs. I don't. That's what we're getting here, and I was waiting for him to pop up here in the comment section, and here he is, Mr. Scott Crawford. Thank you for making your presence. I actually can't see it on my screen now. I clicked on it. What happened? Can you see it, Nick? The Cubs are.
It. Yeah,
okay.
I tend to agree.
Cubs are so close to being top tier, a starter, a hitter, and a closer. I mean, it's not that far off, right? Like that's the issue that I'm having here. And at some point, you are what your record says you are. So I don't want to sit here and say I don't want to sound like we're overhyping this team because it's definitely not what I'm trying to do, right? We're not trying to sound like this team, it should be, 10 games up in the division or something crazy like that. Not the case. It's just they're not that far off. And I don't think they're what the record shows. I don't.
No.
And that's the only point that I kind of keep coming to, or thought I keep coming to in my head, is like, you can't convince me that this team is that bad because, as we've said, individual talent is fucking there.
Yeah.
It is.
No, you're 100% right. And I agree with Scott. I think within that, the closer would be the most important. We were talking the other night, you need a ninth inning guy. You need the guy that comes out, the music's playing, it's over. You just know immediately that it's done. Like, you need that guy. And I don't know if that's something that they do towards the deadline. You got to stay competitive to give, opportunity to make moves to make this team better. So it starts now, like you said, turning this around.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I guess that kind of leads me to a question for you is I kind of like what I've seen for the most part from Jeremiah Estrada. And I didn't want him to get thrust into that closer role immediately. And I still don't know if that's what I want. But what have you seen from him, or have you seen anything that you like so far? Because so far he's kind of proving himself mostly as another option. And he's not your Edwin Diaz. Music comes on, lights go out, but
he's a solution for right now, I think, and he's looked very confident out there. And that's one of the most important things. You have a lot of adrenaline running during those high intensity moments and high leverage spots. And if you can have a guy like that, just to at least not be Edwin Diaz level, but just at least give some solid, strikeout guys and just wipe people out rather than you don't want your guy late in the game putting runners on at all. So I've liked what I've seen from him. I think that he could be a solution. Do I think he's your long-term solution? I wouldn't necessarily want that. I would want them to go get exactly what Scott said, a starter, a hitter, and a closer because I want to be top tier. And it sucks because if you look at the standings, you can see the teams that like are top tier and then the teams that aren't. And it's like, what's happening is, are they not spending enough on the team this year? And they're saying next year we're going to go, even more. And is that what, we're waiting for? And just this year, we're just going to wait it out and see. Maybe that's what's going on here. But it feels like they did build a good enough team to compete this year. I thought so coming in, looking at the roster. But right now, you do have questions like, should they have done more? And they could have definitely done more. They definitely could have done more. And it's frustrating. I don't know about you, man, but when they were building that sports book, I was like, they better shell out some cash on this team because that's what I care about. I want to win another fucking championship. That's all I care about,
Yeah.
And it's just this is not gonna do.
I mean, so I'm with you on that part of it. Like, it better go back into the baseball team. 100%.
Yeah.
Better go back to the baseball team. I think where I kind of, and I don't know if I don't disagree with you, but it's kind of like a slight difference in opinion, I guess, because I guess it could be the same thing. But I don't think that they really didn't spend. I thought they spent pretty much adequate money this offseason for where they were at.
Sure.
I really do. But like you said, and I think they maybe were a little bit overly confident in what they brought in from the bullpen perspective. Like, I really think that they thought Michael Fulmer here, Brad Boxberger, Julian Merriweather, like some of these additions were going to really, and they weren't expecting the fall off of Keegan Thompson. They weren't,
Yeah.
it was like kind of a lack of preparation that way.
It's a good point.
And yeah, they need another bat, of course, but some of that I think they were hoping to get from within, which Morel has proven to be that, but then you have the untimely injuries too. So it's like balancing, okay, Nico's down. Now he comes back, Belly's down. So it's like you've kind of always been missing. And then Seiya to start the season was down, and then he was still trying to get through the injury when he came back. So it's like always playing one man behind or two man behind.
Yeah, that's true.
You put together all these guys at one time, right? And with Mervis mashing, potentially, right? Not to say we don't know when that's going to happen, but if you started the season with Morel too, that's another part of it. Like,
yeah,
there's some like slight adjustments where to me it's like, okay, I don't think they didn't really not spend adequate. Like, I don't think they underspent. I think maybe they just weren't as smart with the spending on who they spent it on, at least from like bullpen perspective, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. And I agree with you. And when we came into it, we were pretty confident as well. We thought we'd get a lot better from Michael Fulmer and like Boxberger. I was really excited about. But I think you're right. I think they looked at these guys and they're like, this is going to be solid. But we did go into it with a couple like question marks because some of it was prove it stuff. And the problem with when you have prove it stuff, if they don't prove it, then you kind of have to look somewhere else. Like you said, getting Morel back, like now he didn't start the season with us. So it's like, it's something that had to happen early on that should have happened maybe, but those holes can be filled. But when the guys that were supposed to prove it don't prove it, then you're rushing to fill those holes.
Dude, to your point too, Bellinger could have easily been a disaster, right?
Exactly.
It could have been. We didn't know. We had high hopes. We had no idea how that was going to turn out. So it was a gamble. Like, there was a lot of gambling done in the offseason and building sports books too. So I didn't really mean to tie that in there, but yeah, that can get thrown out there too. But there was a lot of gambling done on the roster as a whole. And I guess, yeah, to your point, like when that happens, some of them you're going to lose because it is a gamble. It's not a sure thing. Nothing really is ever, but
No. And like you could spend big money too. There's teams that do spend big money and then they get almost the same results as the Cubs. So it's like, it's a happy medium. Like you said, the choices you make, maybe that's where this could be considered not so great. The Fulmer one, for me, how did they not see this coming? Like, they should have at least thought maybe this could happen. And if that was the case, It's tough. He was in a lot of high leverage roles for quite a while. So that just tells me that they were relying on him. They wanted him to be there. So it's like, did they do their research all the way? I don't know. It's tough. I'm not paid to do that, but it's not the question marks. Some of them are looking bad, but like you said, there are other ones that turned out really good. That's a gamble. Like Cody Bellinger, like you said, he's turned out really good so far. But it's like, it's tough, man, because I'd like to see them go get big name guys, and just like surefire things, but they don't always work out. So it looks like the way to win now is to build it within, really work with the guys, build them to what your team's going to be. And look at the Rays. I mean, it's like those are guys from in-house that they have brought up. They like made them exactly the way they wanted, and they're playing very in sync. Like they look like a team that is just playing all together as a team, like years almost is like how I look at them. And the Cubs can totally be that. That's what's so frustrating. They could be the team where they're back-to-back hits, and then you get the big bomb or, a double down the line. They got speed. They got some power, and it's like, I want to see them put it together. And I think they will put it together. I really do, man.
The difference, though, Nick, is, and I agree, but the difference there is the Rays have to play with house money. They can only play with house money. The Cubs can play with house money, and then they can play with everybody else's money. Like they can afford to do that once this thing. So, to your point about not spending right way, like maybe this season is just that guiding force of like, all right, we're that much closer to knowing exactly where we have to put our money. And so this offseason, like you can put it into a closer, put it into, and I'm not counting out the season by any means, but I think if this shit keeps going until like the deadline, like I don't see them buying a closer at the deadline. I just don't.
No, like, that's what I'm saying. I don't see it either. They have to at least stay competitive up to that point for sure.
I hope they do, man. I think they could turn this around. Maybe this nice little, like after this 2-7 road trip, now they could come home. They've got a 9-game homestand here at home. They start the beautiful, friendly confines of Wrigley Field. They started out the New York Mets coming into town, 3-game set. Then you've got the Reds, Nick Kirby's team, Memorial Day weekend, and then you have Tampa Bay, the Rays, after that. So an off day tomorrow. Yeah, man. I don't know. You want to look ahead to this series, or you got any final kind of wrap-up thoughts about what happened in Philly?
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely look ahead. I think we can just throw Philly away. I mean, that first game was really good. They needed that. That was kind of vital because of the way things ended in Houston. But I think, we could definitely move on from the Philly series. It's not going to get any easier. The Mets are 7-3 in their last 10. So it's it's going to be a challenge, but I think that at the friendly confines, like you said, get some magic in the lineup. Let's see them perform well out there.
I hope so, man. Like some good home cooking doesn't sound too bad. I'm actually missing my dinner right now. I had some good home cooking here. I wasn't the one that cooked it, but it still sounds good nonetheless. Hopefully that's the Cubs case, right? Come home, get some good food, sleep in your own bed. I don't know, the off day Monday, you can go relax, go hang out on the beach. I don't know what the weather's like tomorrow, but maybe they can go kind of adjust and get themselves ready to go for this Mets series, which I don't have the starting pitch. Ron always does have the starting pitchers lined up. I guess we can look to Tuesday. You got them up, Nick?
Yeah, I got them. Yep. Yeah, it's going to be Drew Smyly starting for Tuesday because Monday's an off day. So Drew Smyly Tuesday, and then Cody Senga for the Mets.
It's a guy we thought the Cubs might have been getting. We wanted him.
Exactly. So I'm hoping he doesn't just shove it down our throats, man. Because
Fuck.
I mean, that's the glass half empty coming out, but
It's all right
it
though.
could,
It's all right to be glass half empty, Nick. We haven't really showed that this
right?
episode when we should.
Yeah,
Honestly.
exactly. Yeah, I mean, Smiley could definitely go out there and give you another quality start, and you just gotta. The offense has to string something together. If you're not putting up a crooked number, but you're getting good pitching, you still have to string something together. Some hits, put some pressure on the pitching, get into the bullpen early. It's early in the series. Try to, weaken the bullpen. Make this series easier as it goes on because it's not going to be easy. I mean, it's the Mets and they have turned it on lately. So I don't know the rest of the pitchers right now, but I think we avoid Verlander and Scherzer, right? Or do we not? I think we do. They pitched today as a doubleheader.
Did they both pitch today? Okay.
I think they did.
It's Stroman McGill on Wednesday. I just pulled it up. And then we have J-Mo. Didn't mean to sound super excited. I'm hoping he bounces back. It figures it the fuck out. J-Mo, Jameson Taillon against Cookie, Carlos Carrasco on Thursday. So
he can be
yeah, he can be. I don't think he's been terrific this season, but
no,
he has not. 8.68 ERA. Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't think he's pitched too many innings though so far. But yeah, man, I guess thoughts on this series, like you said, probably step on their throat early. I don't know. You got to fly the W pick. Who do you think's going to make something happen for the
Christopher Morel? 100%. Right now, you have to put all your confidence in him. You just have to, and I know it's a big ask, but just put the team on your back and just carry them because right now they need some kind of spark that gets this fire going again. Because when they are moving, they're a good looking team, and I really enjoy watching them. Lately, it has not been that way. I have not enjoyed watching them. It's been actually terrible.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, that's an easy pick, right? That's the easy pick. And I love it. Low hanging, dude. Why would you go against what's working so well? I mean, he's on fire. Like, I wouldn't bet against this man right now.
No.
That's the pick. Like, that would be my pick too if just you went first. So I gotta pivot here. I mean, the other easy answer was the guy that was hot on the road trip. I think I'm gonna go with Seiya Suzuki.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And I feel like maybe somebody he's familiar with Kodai Senga. So
yeah.
Why not, man? He could I don't know. They might have faced each other in Japan, right? Like,
they may have.
I'm sure.
But he definitely knows. He's familiar.
Mm-hmm. So I'm just going to go ahead and guess like he's got good numbers against him. No idea. Pulling that out of my ass right now.
I like it.
I'm just going to go ahead and guess like Seiya's like 10 for 20 with 3 bombs against him lifetime.
There you go.
So even if that's not true, we're just going to run with it.
I like it.
Yeah, Nick. That said, though, yeah, I mean, shit. Now it's going to turn out not to be, but
no. I hope the wind's blowing out, and I hope he just gets a hold of one. Honestly, we need that as Cubs fans. We need to see the flags blowing out and our team getting the ball in the air, not the other team.
I want to see him put one out to put one out to one of those buildings out there. Put one out to put one on Waveland, please. Seiya's got it on
Waveland. Yep, yeah, put it on Waveland. Honestly,
I would love nothing more than that. With that said, though, Nick, we have went almost an hour, but it was great to get back on the airwaves with you again. Get back on your Talking Cubs. I'm not sure. We'll probably have another show for you on Tuesday night. Assuming maybe the off day will probably be off because the Dingers pod, which is they're the one of 2 official Cubs podcasts of the On Tap Sports Network, at Dinger Cubs on Twitter. Follow all those guys. Kevin, Mitch, Jake, and oh boy, Kevin, Mitch, Jake. I knew I was going to screw this up. There's one more and they're going to kill me. We should look that up right now. The Dinger Cubs. Jeff, I think. Jeff, Kevin, Mitch, Jeff, Jake. Yeah, I think I just got that right. Anyways, Dinger Cubs, they got a podcast tomorrow. They'll be live. But yeah, man, final thoughts before we go ahead and get out of here. We are at Cubbies on Tap, CBBIES on Tap. He is at Nick_on Tap. I am at Joey Knows Nothing. Cubs, Bears, Bulls, Blackhawks, bets, White Sox, all at ontapsportsnet.com. Nick, what do you say we get out of here the only way we know how?
Fuck the lousy Cardinals, and let's turn this shit around.
Nothing more to add than that. Let's go Cubbies.